for fast, cheap, and reliable Madden 21 Ultimate Team coins. Make sure you guys go check out my sponsor, Easy Mutt. Use code VENOM at checkout for 5% off. Yo, what's good guys, Venom Fire here, back to another video, and today I'm bringing you guys a pass-heavy offense. It's going to be my gun cluster offensive scheme. A ton of you guys have been requesting this. They've been requesting Cardinals Playbook, gun cluster, and gun cluster is one of the most underrated formations in the game. It's a very unique formation, but with a lot of meta concepts. I got about 5 passing plays that I'm going to show you guys in this video. Also, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel if you are enjoying the content. Again, I bring you guys all this content for free, and about 77% of you guys that are watching are not subscribed. So hit that sub button if you are enjoying the content. But going back to the video, we're in gun cluster. We are in the Arizona Cardinals offensive playbook, one of the most unique but still very good playbooks in the game. Again, we're going over 4 or 5 passing plays, and also you're going to need a couple of abilities. Now, the first one's going to be backfield master. We're going to use that a lot in this video. So I just traded over Christian McCaffrey here. He's got that backfield master ability. Also, make sure that you guys go to the 4 wide receiver package. You see it right here. You just flick your right stick to the left once. 4 wide receivers. You can have 4 wide receivers, where in bunch you cannot. So that's a little bit of a upgrade, I would say. And also, make sure that you do get a slot apprentice ability. You can still use a tight end in this spot if you want. Just make sure that your tight end would have slot apprentice as well. But you can use slot apprentice. Michael Thomas has that. And yeah, those are the 2 abilities you need. I do kind of recommend getting like Gunslinger as well. But going into our audibles, here's a look at them. We got mesh, mesh spot, Z spot, Z spot, shake. The other player we're going to be running is going to be 518 hook right there at the bottom. So with that being said, let's go ahead, hop straight into the field. Now I'm going to be audibling through a variety of defensive plays. I'm going to go into cover 3, cover 2, man coverage, just kind of filter through those plays on defense. But on offense, we're going to start out with this Z-spot shake play. Now Z-spot shake and Z-spot are going to be very similar. Really the biggest difference is this receiver. And with Z-spot shake, you have him on a stock corner out, which is really nice, really useful. For our first setup, what we're going to do is we're going to throw our running back on a wheel. We're going to streak this X receiver, DeAndre Hopkins. Then we're just going to go ahead and smart out RB. This is the first way to run it. You see we got 2 corner routes. We got a streak up the middle, and then we have a couple of flat routes in the wheel and the flat. We can just go ahead and snap the ball. You see I can immediately check down to the flats. On that right side, usually the corner route is going to be open. Also, you can go ahead and smart out this B receiver if you choose to, but again, this comes down to personal preference. Also, one thing with the formation is that you do want your cluster over here on the strong side of the field, as you would any gun bunch. But again, we'll snap it. You see here, I can take that wheel route, low ball it. We got a bullet pass animation, but you usually want to low ball that pass. But overall, it just gives you options, I think. Very, very solid play. If I go to like a cover 2, you will see the wheel route gets even more open. Another variation to this play is that you can actually put your tight end spot at a zig route. So in bunch, I cannot put him at a zig route. But since we get wide receiver hot routes at the tight end spot, I can put him on a zig. I can put him on a slant. I can put him on a lot of routes that tight ends don't get. So I think that's very much an upgrade over bunch. You're not really blocking your tight end too much out of a gun bunch this year because people are going with like 2-man rush metas. So I think it's very useful to have that zig route. We'll use that in a couple of our setups in this video. But yeah, it's going to do it for our first setup. Moving on to another setup. What you're going to go ahead and do is hitch X, wheel Y, and then you're going to smart out RB. So here's a look at our setup. Now our main player we're going to be motioning today is going to be Isabel. We can motion him to the left and the right. Now we can motion all of these guys out to the left. We can only motion snap A to the left and RB. We can also motion them all to the right, but they will be in the slot position. So as you see, I'm going to motion Isabel over, and he's going to kind of sit in that slot. You see slowing down. I can still motion snap him like right about there. And you see I'm able to throw that post route, low ball it over that zone. So that's our setup. Again, we have this little corner route. We're going to turn that into a post route by smart routing it and motioning him over. And then we just want like a little high-low read combo between this hitch and flat. Just a little simple combo. We got Y on the backside wheel, so here's a look at our setup. Again, if I want to, I can smart out B just like this. This plays good against man coverage. You obviously have a couple of routes that beat it, including that corner and the post. But you see right here, just a little pass off and little bit of a bad timing there, and sometimes throwing this corner out on the short side is a little bit tight, so usually that's more of a zone beater. And this play is more of a zone beater, but obviously stock, you got 2 corner outs, you can beat man coverage. One more time, motion him over, smart out RB, wheel Y, and then hitch X. Just like this, we'll go ahead and snap the ball. I'll check down here to Y, and you see we got a lot of space with that little short corner out pulling up the zones. We got one more setup for this play. What we're going to do now is create a very similar concept to the previous one. Again, we're motioning Isabella over. We're smart routing RB. We're throwing our running back on a wheel. We're going to change up these routes a little bit. What I'm going to do is put X on a little in route, and I'm going to put A on a zig. So this is the look. Again, I'm going to use this zig a lot throughout the video, and with X, I just threw him on like a little in route. Again, he's not going to run into too many things. We got the wheel and the corner route. So that just kind of helps out. Again, you see the zig does a really nice job of pulling down zones, which is why it was so popular when you were able to put tight ends on those zig routes. Again, you can't do that, but out of a 4 wide receiver formation, you definitely can. And since he's in kind of a tight end spot, it's very beneficial. I'll show that setup one more time. Again, you're smart routing RB, throwing X on an in and A on a zig, Y on a wheel. Here's a look. Motion Isabella over. I like to get this little motion snap animation where he looks like he's set, but then you can just go ahead, tap that A button. You see Hopkins streaking across that side, wide open. So very good setups, and again, you can see how you would be able to use these little abilities. We didn't even touch up on that backfield master or tight end apprentice yet, so we can create a lot of schemes with this play and with this offense. Moving on, we got this mesh play. I got 2 quick setups for this play. With mesh, we're going to use Isabella on the motion to the outside now. So our first setup is going to be just A on a post and B on a hitch. Now you see why he's already on a flat, so we don't have to use that backfield master ability yet. But yeah, it's a pretty basic setup. We got a corner out, we got a flat, we got a post hitch, and another backside flat. Now with Isabella, I like my flats to be in front of my corner out, so I'm just going to motion him over to the left, and I can actually motion snap him. So I'm going to motion him, then I'm just going to snap him right about there. You see I can kind of low ball the corner out inside because we motioned our flat out. If I didn't do that, the corner out would not be open at all, and I would have to kind of check down a little bit late. Again, the setup is, I like to actually smart out X. He's kind of deep, but you can get him like a step deeper. It's not too big of a deal, but again, you're going to put A on a post and B on a hitch. Go ahead and snap that ball. On the backside, you see the running back open. I threw that late, so it actually was picked. And that's more of a cover 2 beater, not cover 3, so that's my bad. But again, you got that hitch. You got the post, I believe, was open, and then you just motion Isabella over. Kind of a quick snap play. You can just set like a couple of audibles. You see A over the top. I can lowball it. The hitch sometimes is open against certain coverages, cover 3. But yeah, setup is very nice. One more time, A on a post to B on a hitch. Again, this is a very quick snap type setup. I can also go ahead and throw RB on like a backside hitch if I chose to. So I could actually hitch RB just for like the hitch corner out concepts. I've heard that some people like that a little bit better. Depends on what you like, but you see how he's a little bit more open, almost a little bit more useful than the corner out in that spot. But yeah, it's going to do it for our first setup. Let's move into another setup. And again, out of this mesh play, we're going to use the tight end apprentice. We're going to put A on a cross now. So you see these little wide receiver crosses go very deep, very helpful to get over the top of zone and zone drops. This time what we're going to go ahead and do is put B on a little in route. And then what I like to do is, again, still motion RB out. I just like this cross in route combo a little bit better than the cross to hitch. I'm more of a post hitch and then cross in route type of a guy. Again, you can really do whatever you want with this type of a setup. You see how A is coming across wide open. We get an errant throw there, but the flat route's still holding down the zone, so I don't really need a hitch route. And because the crosser is so deep, I might as well put B on a little in route. So one more time here. Here's a look at the setup. I'm going to try and go through these setups as quickly as possible because we do have a lot. But here's a look. Motion Isabella out again. I could throw him on a hitch if I chose to, whatever. But here you see how much space we get just because of like the corner out with the crosser. It pulls the zones up so much that I can easily check down to my flat or my in route or my backside flat. But yeah, it's going to do it for mesh. Let's move on to mesh post now. Now with mesh post, very similar plays. You see play out's almost identical besides the corner out. But again, hot route heavy offense, we're going to do a lot of hot routes. So first things first, we're going to throw RB on a curl and A on a flat. We're also going to hitch B, which you will see me do a lot throughout the video, because this B receiver, he's a lot of times in no man's land. So, we can't really throw him on like a curl because it gets in the way of the posts. Throwing him on like drags is a little bit inconsistent. So we'll throw him on a hitch just because there's not really any other routes to put him on. But yeah, here's a look at our first setup. What we're going to do with Isabella is, again, we're going to motion him out, which I said in the beginning of the video we would do a lot. You see that curl route, motion him out almost completely to the outside and then snap it. He gets into a really good spot, especially against cover 3. If it's like a man coverage look, it still would have the same result. Again, A on a flat, RB on a curl, and B on a hitch. Pretty simple routes, but again, you motion them over, you get that motion snap animation, you see D-hop can get open, that curl open on low ball aggressive catch. Overall, very, very good concept to beat pretty much every coverage. Let's move into cover 2 now. One more time, here's a look at our setup. There we go, B on a hitch, not a flat. And really, this flat hitch combo is open all day except for man coverage. So if your opponent's running zone, these types of high-low reads are always open. These little hitch flat combos, very successful. I love the curl flat combos this year against pretty much every coverage. So you see, I can even wait to throw it and then check down to my flat. The post route was open as well, looked like, because of the hitch pulling down the vert hook. So very successful combo. Let's move into our second setup out of the mesh post, and we're going to create a little bit of a more traditional mesh post setup. What I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to flat A and hitch B, but what I'm also going to do instead is I am going to go ahead and slant RB. So we're going to slant RB. Obviously, we're going to use some more motion him over like this. Again, traditional little slant to post combo. You see right there, able to throw it. The hitch was open all day. The backside slant is usually open with a little bit of a low ball. Again, the setup, RB on a slant, A on a flat, and B again on a hitch. Motion Isabella over, snap the ball just like so, and you see I could throw that slant route or that flat route all day. The slant route's open a little bit later over the top of the zone. And yeah, very, very successful play. One more time, RB on a slant, A on a flat, and B on a hitch. Again, motion them over, and you have a very successful route combination. Boom, get him to sit right there. The slant, backside open, can always check down to my flat late. Even with like a little lob pass, we're almost picking up 10 yards. So overall, very, very good play. Let's move on to our fourth passing play, which will be Z-spot. Now, Z-spot, you see again, like I mentioned earlier in the video, it's similar to Z-spot shake. Basically, the corner route, the flats are the same. The only different routes are going to be X, unless X is on that same route. X is on a little shake route, so he's just on a spot route instead. But you see B on that backside S post is really what we're going to use to our advantage in this video. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and smart out B right off the bat. B's on a little bit of a deep S post. We smart out it. It's a little bit shorter, but allows us to throw it a little bit more. Also, we're going to go ahead and zig A. We're going to flat Y, and then we're going to slant X. So here's a look at our setup. I'm also going to smart out RB, get him on that deeper corner out. So here it looks very congested, but again, we're going to use motion. I'm going to motion Isabella out. Now I get a little bit more space. I get 2 high-low reads. First read always going to be A and flat on the backside with the running back. So I get 2 high-low reads, in being the slant to flat as well as the zig to corner out. So again, the setup out of this Z spot play is smart route B, flat Y, zig A, smart route RB, and slant X. Here's a look. Here I'm going to throw it to the other side. I'm going to go with the X to Y flat combo. Boom, look at D-hop getting in the perfect spot of the zone. And again, I always have that S post. If it's man coverage, the S post beats man coverage. The corner out beats man coverage. The zig beats man coverage. The slant beats man coverage. So very easy to beat man coverage. Let's just run it to show. So overall, man coverage is not an issue. This is probably my go-to play against it because you just have a ton of routes. And also when you motion Isabella out, he's not going to get pressed. So on this corner out, I can get a very good release. I can check down. With Route Technician, that S post becomes even better, so I urge you to use Route Technicians always. But yeah, very successful setup. Let's move into another setup with this Z-spot play. What you're going to go ahead and do is, again, we're smart routing B, but this one I'm going to drag A and I'm just going to streak X and throw RB on an in route. So here's a look. It doesn't look good from the player, but again, we're going to use motion. This is a nice 6-man protection because a lot of these setups were sending all 5 routes out. But now we block our running back, so if you're going against someone who's sending heat, user rushing, whatever, you can block that running back. You're going to motion Isabel out like this, and boom. Gives you options. You see almost like 2 drags. The in route, I like the in route motioned out a little bit better than the drag, so that's the reason I do that. You could also go with like a slant if you want to. Again, I mentioned that I'm more of a fan of the little in routes, but yeah, very, very good setup. Here I'm going to try and throw this S-post over the top. You see he can get into a nice spot zone. We did get a drop there, but even with the middle of the field so congested, we were able to get that over the top. Keep in mind, most people are playing, Mabels on both sides, double flatting on both sides, and then they have like one zone in the middle of the field, so these cover 3s with 2 hook curls are not super easy to throw to, but you guys would probably get better success online. So one more time with this setup, RB on a slant or in route, X on a streak, smart route B. Again, I can motion him out, snap it like right about here, and you see you can always check down. The drag's open all day in the flats, and overall, what I think is a very, very successful route combination. Our last route combo out of Z-Spot, it's going to be, again, a similar concept. We're going to use our running back here. We're going to put him on a flat. We're going to slant A, and then we're going to streak X, just like this. I'm going to also throw RB on a little curl route. So here's a look at our setup. Pretty basic, but we're going to motion Isabel out like this. Even though there's no flat combo, sometimes these curls can still get open. So pretty decent route combo if you ask me. I could also throw X on maybe my flat if I liked that, but you see the post gets a little bit open. Gives you options. So again, pretty good success rate against man coverage if they're running that. If they audible to like a cover 2 here, you see it would still be successful. If I wanted to, I could also go ahead and maybe throw, like I mentioned, X on the flat. So something like this, just because the streak does kind of congest things. This will give us a little bit more options. So B, you see right there, he's a little bit more open because the zones aren't pulled up, they're actually pulled down. So overall, that's not my favorite route combination, but it is an option, and we're going to go over every single option. But yeah, those were all our setups for our first 4 plays. With that being said, let's hop into our last play, which is, again, the 518 hook. Alright guys, now we are out here in the 518 hook. I have 2 setups for this play. The first one's going to be a very good man coverage beater. If you didn't know, these little S-posts are very good against man coverage stock, but motioned over, turned into a corner route, they are even better. So for example, let's just get rid of that deep zone. That deep zone won't even defend it, but let's just get rid of it to clear a little bit more space. Now, this would be better if I flip my bunch to the short side and actually motioned it over, because then I would have more space, but you don't even have to do that. That can also be a tell, so we don't want to tell what play we're running. Motioning this player over will do enough of the telling because we never really motioned him over in any other setups. But the setup for this first man coverage beater is going to be smart out X. We're going to throw A on a cross, B on a slant, Y on a flat, and RB on a flat. So here's a look at our setup. We're going to motion D-hop across our formation like so, and motion snap him right about there. So you see we're going to get a very good release and just overall wide open. Now you notice that Thomas is kind of in the area right there. That is why I mentioned that it's a little bit better if I run it on the backside. So what I was talking about, I'm going to get more space. The crosser is not going to get across the formation earlier, and this overall will give me more space, but again, it can be a tell. The setup smart route B, cross A, flat RB, slant X, and flat Y. Pretty much what I'm saying is that the crosser is going to take a couple more seconds to get across the formation, and because we motioned, we're going to also have more space to throw this ball. So I'm going to motion him over, again, motion snap him like this, and you see we get separation. Sometimes they will still run to the same area. So overall, if I wanted to get A just completely out of the play, I could just go ahead and drag him and block my running back, and it would be kind of the same concept. This does not give you as many options because the crosser still can get open. I can also post A if I want to. Now against zone, you see X can still get open on that sideline, but the drag was also open. Overall, that's a nice man coverage beater, just the route. You can honestly create whatever concept you want. Those were just some ideas I had. And obviously, sometimes that crosser can get pressed, so we won't get as off the line as easy. But we got one other setup for this play. What we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to smart out X, we're going to curl RB, and then we're just going to flat Y and hitch B. So here's a look at our setup, taking a lot of the concepts we have throughout the video and turning it into this play as well. We're going to motion, again, Isabella out. So you see we've done that almost every single setup. Keeping consistency. He's not going to know what play you're running because we've run that motion with every setup in the book. So you see that S post getting open. Again, smart out X, curl RB. If we audible to cover 3, you will see that's a little bit more open. But again, here is a look at our setup. Flat Y, as we've done a lot, and hitch B. A's already on this nice stock flat. Oh shoot, I literally just clicked the wrong button. Sometimes I do get confused between RB and X because I'm motioning RB out wide, and usually I'm used to throwing curls to X as the outside receiver. So that's the reason. It does take practice switching between something like bunch and this. So I recommend you guys do go in practice mode because otherwise you could get into problems like that. Again, cover 3, it's going to be a little bit better. If I wanted to get an inside kind of motion and release, I could actually motion Isabella out and then motion back in, snap it like that. So that's just a nice idea there. You see when I do that, look how the flats is opened up. And that was a cover 3. So if I motion him out against cover 3, the curl's open. If I motion him back in, the flat's actually open. So that's a good way to kind of confuse and manipulate the zones. But yeah, it's pretty much going to do it for the video. If you guys enjoyed, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Follow me on Twitter. Link will be in the description. That's the best way to reach me if you have any questions. But yeah, show support on the Twitter. Link will be in the description. But that's going to do it for the video. And peace. I'm out of here.